Hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and we're now live for tonight's live show, which is a match preview to Man United versus Wolves, which we will get into later, but it's also a quick transfer update regarding all the Manchester United news that sort of come out in the last 24 hours. So in today's show, we're firstly going to be talking about what is the transfer update, what's the transfer news. Fabrizio Romano's come out and said something. What's the latest on Declan Rice? What's the latest on Jadon Sancho? What's the latest on Jules Kounde? What's the latest on Varane? What's the latest on Kane? And all that situation. We're also going to be talking about Rashford. Rashford made some comments about leaving. Could Rashford be leaving Manchester United in the summer? We'll be talking about Rashford leaving, Sancho joining, what Fabrizio Romano came out and said yesterday, what's the news on Declan Rice. But I'll also be doing a little bit of a preview to Manchester United versus Wolves as well. We'll be talking about what lineup I expect to see versus Wolves, because Hannibal and Shotire could be making their debut for Wolves. So towards the end of the video, we will talk about Man United versus Wolves and all of that. Also, Bruno signing a new contract and all the latest transfer news. So yeah, everybody, please hit that like button, subscribe down below, and share this video. Let me know your thoughts in the live chat. But I think the first thing I want to talk about is Sancho. The next thing I want to talk about is this Rashford coming out and talk about leaving. And then I will get into a bit of a preview for Man United Wolves. But I think this video is going to be more talking about transfers, because the reason I didn't want to make just a pre-recorded preview today was because I just thought the Man United Wolves game is basically dead. So I kind of want to spend this live stream mainly talking about the latest transfer news and stuff. And then we will cover Man United versus Wolves, Hannibal debut, is that going to happen, and the starting lineup and stuff. So if everybody could hit that like button, subscribe down below. And I'm going to get into the first thing that was said. So, Fabrizio Romano, I'm sure you're aware of him, very reliable journalist. Now, he went on the United stand yesterday night, and he said some really big things. And I've got the main points that he said written down. If you want to watch the whole interview, go watch that on the United stand. But one of the main things he talked about was Jadon Sancho, Jules Kounde, and Varane. So I will be talking about what he said, as well as some news that came out from Declan Rice, which came out from Matt Law. But what Jadon Sancho really said about Manchester United is Jadon Sancho is Man United's priority, but he said the race is open. So I think we're in a situation where we can sign Sancho. Sancho's still our priority. We're very much in for Sancho this summer, but the race is open. For all we know, Chelsea could be in for Sancho. And I'm going to talk a lot about what Fabrizio Romano said and all of that. Because obviously, you know, if you want to watch the whole interview, go on the United stand and watch it. But I've written down 4 or 5 notes about what he said. So I'm going to read out the main points he said. He said that Man United's priority is Jadon Sancho. He said that the race is open. He's also said regarding Manchester United signing a centre-back, Fabrizio Romano, Tier 1 journalist, said Manchester United will decide on a centre-back once the budget has been set for an attacking position. Basically saying Man United's priority is Jadon Sancho, and depending on how much they spend on Jadon Sancho depends on who they buy at centre-back, which, you know, is really telling. That does make me fear that we're not going to buy a CDM. It's going to be below the budget on Sancho, get third choice centre back, forget a CDM slot. It is giving me that kind of vibes. He also talked about Rafael Varane. He said Varane is open to moving to an English club and is one of the top names on Manchester United's list. So Varane's leaving Real Madrid. It looks like Varane's leaving Real Madrid, and I think Man United will be in for Varane. I think it just depends on the whole Sancho situation, and Varane is probably Varane's choice. As Fabrizio Romano said about a week ago, that, you know, Varane is open to leaving. I think the transfer of where Varane ends up is Varane's choice. You know, Varane can choose where he wants to go. He said there's nothing in Ronaldo to Manchester United. He basically said that. He said that United are basically happy with their striker options. United are probably not going to sign a striker this summer. They were looking at Kane, but Cavani's renewal means that Man United's only attacking Man United will be signing as a right winger like Sancho. He said that Manchester United are not looking for a new goalkeeper, because there was this rumour about a week ago that Man United were looking for a goalkeeper, and Fabrizio Romano's come out and said that they're not. They're not. We don't know what's going to happen 100% with De Gea and Henderson. Looks like De Gea's going to go, but United aren't looking for a new goalkeeper. He said that, you know, Mata could leave. He talked about Mata deciding his future. He also talked about Man United, you know, appreciating Kieran Trippier, but he said nothing has happened. There's obviously rumours about us and Kieran Trippier. And he said that Jesse Lingard wants to stay in the Premier League, and United are waiting to sell Jesse Lingard to maybe West Ham. And, you know, he talked about a lot of things. He said that United have got an eye on Jules Kounde. We really like Jules Kounde. We're keeping an eye on him. He also said last week that Jules Kounde is our second choice centre-back behind Rafael Varane. And he did say that Pau Torres is on the list, but he has a release clause of £65 million this summer. Now, I'll talk a little bit more about what Fabrizio Romano said and what all the latest transfer news is, but I want to get in and talk about Rashford leaving, this news on Rashford leaving, the ideal price for Rice. Could Man United sign Rice? And I also want to talk about the Manchester United Wolves game. So yeah, please hit that like button, subscribe down below, and share this video if everybody's watching. Get your thoughts in the live chat. But what exactly are we going to talk about? I think we'll start with the whole is Rashford leaving and all of this. Now, look, could Rashford leave in the summer? Possibly. Would I be surprised if Rashford leaves? Yes. I don't think Marcus Rashford's going to leave, because a year ago he came out and said he wants to spend the rest of his career at Man United. Now, Rashford, this has come from The Guardian. To be fair, The Guardian have some pretty good writers. And Rashford said this. Rashford on the possibility of leaving and playing in another country. Rashford said this. I would never say no. Other than Man United, I'm a big fan of Real Madrid and Barcelona because they have great players and attractive football. Everybody watches Madrid and Barcelona. So Rashford's saying that he's never going to rule out and move abroad. You know, he loves Real Madrid, he loves Barcelona, you know, and all of that. And basically, some people are like, is Rashford going to leave? Blah, 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 blah. Rashford could leave, but I don't think he will. I'd be very, very shocked. I think what Rashford's trying to say is, like, he loves Man United, he'll stay here as long as he can. But, you know, if we're not the Man United we used to be, like, we aren't the Man United we used to be. If Rashford reaches his potential, he might want to follow in Ronaldo's footsteps and go to Real Madrid, if you get what I mean, and make the best of himself. Rashford and Ronaldo get compared a lot. They've had a similar kind of journey, similar positions. Rashford could maybe follow in Ronaldo's footsteps and go to Real Madrid. Now, I don't think Rashford would ever move to another Premier League club. I'm thinking if Rashford would ever leave Man United, it would be abroad, because he wants a new challenge, a new step, maybe the Ronaldo way. But the fact that Rashford's come out and said that, you know, he likes Real Madrid, he likes Barcelona, it's got a lot of people, I don't know, some people are annoyed about, some people aren't. I think if Pogba said it, everyone would be fuming. If Pogba said this, everyone would be fuming. But I say fair play to Rashford, you know, because at the end of the day, he's just been asked a question and he said, oh, he'd never say no. But he's not sitting there like, yeah, Real Madrid and Barcelona are my dream. He just goes, yeah, I'd never say no. Like, what do you expect him to say? Nah, never, I'm staying at Man United the rest of my life, and lie. He's just said, look, I'll never say no. You know, I'm a big fan of Real Madrid, I'm a big fan of Barcelona, but he said he'd never say no. But this is talking about moving abroad. Like, if Rashford leaves United, he'd go abroad. Maybe he wants to go in the Ronaldo footsteps and try and be Ronaldo. I don't think he's going to ever reach the levels of Ronaldo, but he's a special player, Rashford. And if United, you know, with the Glazers' ownership, and we don't start becoming the United we used to be in with the Glazers' ownership, it's hard, like, fair enough. But to be fair, will Rashford leave this summer? I'd be shocked. I don't think he will. Could Rashford leave in a few years' time? Maybe, sure. But he loves Manchester. His family's here, his home's here. I think if Rashford left in the next 2 years, I'll be really, really surprised. If Rashford left this summer, I'd be shocked. I don't think he will. If Rashford leaves in 3-4 years' time, he's been a good servant to the club. But look, at the end of the day, there's not much really in it. He's just talking about the future, maybe. So I wouldn't really stress too much about Rashford leaving. I will get into some of the live chats in a second. The only thing is, okay, with Rashford, there's news about Pogba leaving, Martial leaving, Rashford leaving, all of that, okay. If, say, we sign Jadon Sancho, on the right, we've got Jadon Sancho, Ahmad, and Greenwood. On the left, we've got Pogba, Martial, Rashford, and up front, we've got, like, Cavani. We have, like, 7 attackers to cover 3 spaces. And as much as we need Jadon Sancho, you're thinking Ahmad, Greenwood, Rashford, Martial, or Pogba can play middle. One of them will probably suffer. You know, I'm thinking, you know, maybe Ahmad and Sancho on the right, Greenwood and Cavani up top, Rashi and Martial on the left. But that means you've got 3 good attacking players on the bench. So Ollie would definitely have to rotate. My only thing with Rashford is I think Greenwood has been better the last month than him. And if Pogba's playing on the left, you know, Greenwood's better on the right. And then with the depth of Sancho and Ahmad on the right, you know, Rashford's a quality player, but Ollie better start playing Rashford on the left, Sancho on the right, and moving Pogba to the middle. That's what I'm saying, because I'm not really making sense of what I'm saying, but I feel like Man United obviously buying another attacker and stuff, but our attack's getting quite clogged up that we definitely need to look at the midfield and defence. Now, talking of midfield, now I think most of us here could sit here and say, you know what, United need a CDM. We all know that Manchester United need a CDM. We'd all like Manchester United to sign a CDM. And, you know, Declan Rice, I think, is a name that we always say because he's Premier League proven, he's got captain quality, he's a good player. It's definitely improvement on Fred McTominay, but so are most players. But I think the one thing about Declan Rice is as well, Jesse Lingard, West Ham won. Okay. But the only thing about West Ham is West Ham's asking price for Declan Rice is £90 million. Now, for me, that's a bit much. I knew he was going to be English, so I know he's young, and I knew he was going to be overpriced. But I think Declan Rice is a £50 million player, if you want my honest opinion. Maybe 60 because of the English tax and the age. Now, Man United could probably get Declan Rice for Lingard plus 60 million. But to be fair, that's quite a lot of money, especially when CDM isn't our so-called priority. You know, Fabrizio Romano came out yesterday and said that it's right-wing centre-back. And if CDM's not priority, I don't think we're going to spend 60 million on Jesse Lingard or Declan Rice. However, saying that, if we could get Declan Rice for Jesse Lingard on 40 million, I'd say what a deal, go do it. But I do think Declan Rice is a little overpriced, and I think with United, we got pretty much the impression from Fabrizio Romano that it is Sancho, the rest of the budget on the centre-back, and then basically see what happens with Donny van der Beek and Paul Pogba, depending on the midfield slot. And that's basically what Fabrizio Romano said. He goes, Sancho, depends on the price of Man United's right-winger attacker, depends what centre-back they get. And then after that, you know, they think about midfield CDM, but it depends on the Donny Pogba situation. And I think the only way Man United are going to sign Declan Rice this summer is if Paul Pogba leaves. And is he really a like-for-like replacement for Paul Pogba? No. Like, obviously, we need a CDM, but you sell Paul Pogba, you know, we're relying on Bruno for all our creativity. But I feel with the Declan Rice situation, I'd be very, very shocked if Manchester United signs Declan Rice this summer. I'd love Man United to go out, sign Kounde, Rice and Sancho, but I honestly don't think they do. And 90 million for Declan Rice is very, very overpriced, especially if we're going. That's going to be more than Sancho. Sancho's going to be 77 million pounds, and then you expect us to spend 60 million pounds on Kounde, and then another 90 million pounds on Rice. It's very, very expensive for Rice, because this is what I think about the Declan Rice situation. Okay, Declan Rice is going to cost United 90 million. Now, Lille just won Ligue 1. And how much did Sumer cost Leicester? 21 million. And I think Declan Rice is a quality player. I'd love Declan Rice. But I also do think we need a centre-back, and I do think we need a right winger. And if I was to be realistic, I think maybe United need to look abroad for a CDM, because I think the 90 million on Declan Rice is stupid. You know, maybe we look at Shotire, maybe we look at a Locatelli, maybe we look at Kessie, or maybe we do go in the Premier League for a cheaper option like Basuma, who could be 40 million pounds, and plus Arsenal want him, so it would annoy Arsenal. But all the players that I've listed, you know, probably aren't as good as Rice, but there's still an improvement on Fred and McTominay. I think it's just about getting a player that is actually naturally a CDM. Because I think when you have a player that's naturally a CDM, it just means that we can play 2-8s or a box-to-box in the cam. We don't have to play with 2 CDMs and a pivot, because, again, all the top teams for me play with 1 CDM holding. And that, you know, the thing about Fred and McTominay is because they're not CDMs, they both hold together, and they both hold together and do the same job. I mean, get overrun in the midfield because they almost do the job that one good player could do. And it's like playing with 10 men or 2 players instead of the midfield, instead of 3 with Fred and McTominay. Whereas if you get a proper CDM, they can do that CDM role. You can have Donny, you can have Bruno. CDM, Pogba, Bruno. CDM, Donny, Bruno. If you get what I'm saying there, let me know your thoughts down below. But yeah, I think Ndidi would be brilliant for Manchester United. I absolutely love Ndidi at Manchester United. In terms of Kane, like Man United aren't going to sign Kane this summer. Maybe next summer when Cavani leaves, there's a chance in Kane and Haaland. I'm sure there'll be, because I don't think Spurs will be able to sell Kane this summer. So I think maybe next summer there's a chance for Kane and Haaland. Basuma has amazed me more than Rice this season. I think Basuma's quality. I think he'd be a good signing for United, and I reckon we could get him for about 40 million pounds. So I think Basuma would be a great signing. But yeah, I do agree with that. I'd be quite surprised if Man United could get Basuma over the line. But James Maddison said, I agree in a new contract for Man U. Heard it first. I doubt we'd get James Maddison. We definitely don't need an attacking midfielder. Robert Serra says, I would sell Martial, Rashford, buy Grealish, Sancho, buy good CDM when we're sorted. I wouldn't sell Sancho because I wouldn't sell Rashford. But if selling Martial meant Grealish and Sancho, I'd definitely sell Martial. Buy a good centre-back and we're sorted. I agree with this comment, but I wouldn't sell Rashford and I'd get a centre-back. I don't think Ollie will change formation. I hate the 2 CDMs. It has to be 1 CDM, 2 8s. I agree with you there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about all the latest transfer news today. I'm going to just keep you updated on the transfer situation. If everybody could hit that like button, subscribe down below, share this video. I'm going to keep you updated on the whole transfer situation. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my match preview, talk about the rumours about Hannibal and Shotire debut. I'll talk about what's my predicted lineup for Manchester United versus Wolves, final game of the season. And then, yeah, we'll answer a few live chats. So what is the news regarding Manchester United and all of that? Well, the first news is that David Moyes wants to re-sign Jesse Lingard on a permanent deal this summer. We will get 25 to 30 million pounds for Jesse Lingard, which can go into our transfer budget. And that's an extra 30 million to spend on a centre-back, I'd assume, or another player's priority, and all of that. Now, obviously, there's other news about PSG and Man United really interested in signing Cristiano Ronaldo, but Fabrizio Romano said that, you know, there's nothing in Ronaldo to Manchester United. So I was kind of ignoring that article because it's not come from, let's just say, the most reliable outlet. Now, Brandon Williams could be one of the players leaving. We'll be talking about the outs and the ins. So Brandon Williams, this report's come from Leah Smith, basically saying Brandon Williams is now growing increasingly more frustrated and would like to seal a loan move this summer. Southampton, Brighton, and some other clubs are interested in signing him now. I think Brandon Williams going on loan to a Premier League club would be brilliant for him. Same with the likes of James Garner. I like Tuanzebe, but maybe just for game time for Tuanzebe, but I think he should start over Lindelof. And I think that's a very, very smart move. It looks like Matt is going to be leaving. It looks like Matic could be leaving. And it looks like a lot of the youngsters are going to go out on loan. Obviously, one of the goalies will probably leave. We don't know what the situation with Martial and Pogba is quite yet. But talking about players staying, Bruno Fernandes, it's rumoured. I know the rumours came out from the Mirror, but Bruno Fernandes' agent is in England. And it sparks the rumours that Bruno Fernandes is going to sign a new contract at Manchester United for £200,000 a week, which would be massive because I think there was this rumour that Bruno Fernandes wouldn't sign a contract at Manchester United unless he saw it going somewhere because, you know, he's a world-class player. If we look at Man United over the last few years, it's get top four, fall off, get top four, fall off, never really challenging for the big trophies. And maybe Bruno's thought, you know, we finished second, we're a few signs away from winning something. And Bruno apparently wants to stay at Manchester United and all of that. The other thing that came out about Declan Rice is Chelsea have now revived their interest in Declan Rice. Manchester United and Man City also interested, but a return to Chelsea would be the player's preference. So Man U, Chelsea and Man City have an interest in Declan Rice, but I think Chelsea would probably be the most likely, especially because it looks like Man United are going to go all in for Sancho, whereas I think Chelsea are looking at maybe that sort of CDM. Now, Leah Smith talks about Pau Torres to Manchester United. This is the sort of centre-back. So the whole situation with Man United in signing a centre-back is, I think Varane is our first choice, Kounde is our second choice, and we've got a lot of other players on the list that are going to be cheaper. And with Man United and transfers, we never really get our first choice. And Pau Torres is a player that, you know, I think after the Euros, Man United could be interested in signing. You know, we spend money on Sancho, so we go, oh, we just spent £77 million on Sancho. I don't really want to spend £70 million on Kounde. So they go, oh, Pau Torres, £40-50 million. Now, Leah Smith, a journalist, said that Manchester United have not pursued Pau Torres for the last few months. The feeling aside Villarreal is still the same. They are not expecting approaches until after the Europa League final and summer in the Euros. And the thing is, the rumour is that Man United want to get Sancho before the Euros, but Man United want to get their centre-back after the Euros, which is really interesting. But knowing Man United will take 8 weeks to get a deal done, so who knows what's going to happen with Manchester United. There's obviously all these articles and rumours about the ban and the fine and all of that, the Super League and stuff, but I don't really want to bore you with that, guys. So what I want to do, actually, is I want to share my screen with you guys in a second, and we will move on to the Liverpool Man United news. But I'm just going to read out a few live chats. Now, this is the Manchester Evening's predicted lineup for the game tomorrow. The Manchester Evening News predict a lineup of Henderson, Williams, Tuanzebe, Bailly, Telles, Matic, Van der Beek, Ahmad, Mata, Alanga, and Greenwood to start, which is basically the Leicester lineup, pretty much. But I do think there's rumours that Shola, Shotire and what's his name, Hannibal Mejbri will probably be starting for Manchester United tomorrow, or not starting, but getting minutes. I think Hannibal Mejbri is someone that we really would be excited to see at Manchester United. My hair looks horrific, so let me just move that. Yeah, but there's a lot of transfer news about United. Do I think Fred will leave the club? Fred will stay. Fred's not leaving the club. Let's be honest. Someone said there's a strong interest from Leicester to sign Daniel James. Rumours about Leeds gone quiet, and likely he stays at United if he gets Sancho. Loan buy deal looking the most likely. If Sancho goes, I think it's the end for Daniel James, because look, we've got Ahmad, we've got Martial, we've got Rashford, we've got Greenwood that can play on the wings. They're all better than Daniel James, and I think Ahmad just will be better than Daniel James in the next year. And I like Daniel James, but I definitely think if we get Sancho, and to be fair, I do think United will sign Sancho this summer, Daniel James will be a player to leave. I think the two wingers that look most likely leaving Man United this summer, obviously Matt is going to go this summer, probably. I'd be very shocked if we let him on for another year. But then we did give Bailly a contract, we did give Phil Jones a contract. So you never know United. But I'd say I'd say Daniel James is likely to leave, maybe, if we can get rid of him. I mean, his wage is quite high, but there's definitely interest in Daniel James from a lot of clubs. I say I expect Daniel James and Martial to leave the season and someone like Sancho to come in. Who was your player of the season? Probably Bruno, but Luke Shaw's got to be up there. Manchester United, yeah, I read that one out. Bruno Fernandes is close to agreeing £200,000 a week contract with Manchester United after admitting he's unhappy. He's happy with the progress on Solskjaer. Yeah, I read that one out. Bruno looks like he's staying. Rashford did talk about leaving, and obviously there's the news about Sancho. So what's the situation with Rashford leaving? Now, Rashford was asked about ever leaving Manchester United, and he just basically said that he admired Real Madrid and Barcelona. He's a big fan of Real Madrid and Barcelona, and he could never say no to a move there. Does that mean Rashford's leaving this summer? No. Rashford's just come out and he's just said that, you know, Real Madrid and Barcelona are massive clubs, so he could never say no to it. But I'm sure with Rashford, he's fully committed to Manchester United, and I don't think Rashford would leave this summer. That maybe Rashford leaves in a few years' time because he's a big Ronaldo fan. He wants to follow in the footsteps of Ronaldo. Maybe Rashford leaves United in a few years' time. But to quote exactly what Rashford said, he said, "I would never say no to playing for another team outside of England. Other than Man United, I'm a massive fan of Real Madrid, Barcelona, because they've had great players and play great attractive football. Everybody watches Madrid and Barcelona." Rashford's basically saying that I am interested in Madrid and Barcelona, so I'd never say no to it. But I'm pretty sure Rashford's very, very focused on Manchester United. And maybe in a few years' time, he will fancy a change because he's been at Man United his whole career. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't say Rashford leaving was anything to worry about. This guy says Chuchimani would be a good signing at CDM. Is that the one that Chelsea are going to get? Let's buy Haaland for Rashford. I mean, this is the thing with Erling Haaland and Harry Kane. I reckon all the players will link to next summer. I don't think Harry Kane's going to leave Spurs this summer because he's too much. And Erling Haaland's staying at Dortmund because Sancho's leaving Dortmund. And to be fair, Man United aren't going to sign a striker this summer, but next summer we'll definitely be signing a striker to replace Cavani. Chelsea already have Jorginho, Kovacic and Kante. Why would they buy another midfield? Would be scary because it's Chelsea. That's the thing. This guy says, Jules Kounde to Manchester United. Here we go, 42 million personal terms agreed. Manchester United will sign him before the Europa League final. I'm pretty sure that's fake news because if that was real news, I'd be gassed right now and I'd be doing my own video on it. Do you think Man United will sign any players? I think Man United will sign Jadon Sancho this summer. I feel confident that we will. I think it will be a Glazers signing to win the fans back. But I generally do think we'll sign Sancho. And I said that last time when I was wrong. But I have confidence United will sign Sancho. And then maybe a centre-back. I think it will be Sancho and a centre-back, and then probably some cheap player from the Championship that we get for completely no reason whatsoever. But I wouldn't be surprised if Man United signed Sancho and a centre-back this summer. And I think that's the indication we're getting, that Man United will sign Jadon Sancho and a centre-back this summer. I'm listening to Final Countdown for the win. You know what? We better win tomorrow just to give us good momentum going into the Europa League final. There will be a match preview Tuesday night to the Europa League final, so make sure you stay tuned for that because it's going to be a really interesting night on Alice Talks Football. There's going to be a live stream on Monday, there's going to be a live stream on Tuesday, and obviously there's going to be the Europa League live stream on Wednesday. So if you're not come across my face before, please make sure you hit that like button and also subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football because there's going to be daily Manchester United content throughout the transfer window. Most evenings we'll be doing a transfer live stream, talk about all the latest Manchester United transfer news. Like tomorrow's Man U Wolves. Monday's a live stream, talk about the Man United transfer news. Tuesday we'll talk about is the Europa League final preview live stream, and Wednesday it's obviously the big Europa League final. So much exciting stuff to come up on Alice Talks Football. So make sure you subscribe if you're not subscribed. Just thought I'd plug the channel there, and obviously hit that like button. Someone says Rashford just want attention. No, I just think Rashford's being honest. But yeah. Can you tell us about the Kane's transfer saga? The Kane situation at United is not going to happen. Maybe next summer if he stays at Spurs, but we've got Cavani, so Kane to Man United won't happen. If we're gonna sign an attacker, it's going to be Sancho, and if we fail to get Sancho because Chelsea's swooping and get him, it will be someone like Rafinha maybe, and all of that. But yeah, there's nothing massive going on regarding United and Kane. And Fabrizio Romano obviously came out literally yesterday and basically said, you know what, United aren't going to get Kane. He was on the United stand. I would recommend watching the United stand video they did with Fabrizio Romano yesterday because obviously he spoke for a good hour about Manchester United news. And obviously I can read out a few things he said, like the main points, but it's definitely worth watching that interview. But obviously the main things that he said is basically the main thing that Fabrizio Romano said about Man United, Kane, Sancho, Kounde, Varane, is he said that Jadon Sancho is Man United's priority, but he said the race is open for Manchester United. Fabrizio Romano also said that Manchester United will decide on the centre-back once the budget has been set for an attacker. He also said that Raphael Varane is open to moving to an English club and is one of the names on the United's list. He said Varane's open to the move, but obviously, Man United want Varane, depends on obviously price and that. But I think with the Varane situation, the Sancho situation is looking very, very good for us as long as you don't bottle it and let Sancho go to Chelsea. But I think with the Varane situation, it's like Thiago. You know how Thiago could have gone to Man United last summer, but he chose Liverpool? Varane's like Thiago in the sense he's got 1 year left on his contract. He can choose where he wants to go. He's going to be sold this summer. And look, he could go to Chelsea. He could go to United. He could go to Bayern. He could even go to PSG. You never know with Varane. But I think Sancho wants to come to Man United. And the whole situation with Sancho to Manchester United is, will Man United pay the money for Sancho? Like basically the whole Sancho situation is in Man United's hands. Man United pay the money for Sancho, they get Sancho. Now the whole Raphael Varane's situation to Man United is it's in Varane's hand. If Varane wants Man United will probably get him. But if Varane wants another club, that club gets Varane. And that's why I see the Varane Man United situation. I say, look, Fabrizio Romano has literally said that Kane's not going to happen because of Cavani. Nothing serious with Ronaldo. All of that. He said that, Man United will not looking for a goalkeeper this summer. He said that De Gea is not going to go to Roma. And he also said there's nothing serious in this Kieran Trippier news, the player linked to United. He also said players like Pau Torres is on United's list, but not really a priority. Fabrizio Romano did say one key thing on the United stand, and that was obviously to keep an eye on Jules Kounde, which I think is really, really promising. He basically said, look, keep an eye on Jules Kounde. And I think Kounde I think if we fail to get Varane, I think Kounde becomes first choice. Does it mean Man United will get Kounde if he's first choice? Probably not, because Man United never get their first choice. And Declan Rice, £90 million asking price. United aren't getting I tell you this now, United will not sign Declan Rice this summer. If Man United sign Declan Rice this summer, I will give away £100. I'll give away £100 if Man United sign Declan Rice this summer, because I'd love us to sign Declan Rice. But I just think if we're going to spend all our money on Sancho, if we're going to spend all our money on Kounde, I don't think United are going to sign Declan Rice this summer. I think 90 million is too much for Declan Rice when it's clear Man United's transfer priority is Jadon Sancho. Fabrizio Romano said that Man United want Jadon Sancho. It's in Man United's hands. If Man United want Sancho, they can get him. It's just, will Man United pay the money for Sancho? Is our top priority. But as Fabrizio Romano said, the race is open for Sancho. Man United are in a good position to sign Sancho. Everything's agreed between Manchester United and Sancho. Sancho's cheaper than last summer. Everything's set between Man United and Sancho. The only thing that's separating Man United and Sancho is Man United haven't gone to Dortmund with an official bid, an official offer. If Man United go to Dortmund and go £80 million, which is about 90 million euros for Jadon Sancho, they can get Jadon Sancho because Jadon Sancho wants Man United. Jadon Sancho's agreed to come to Manchester United. Fees, personal terms, all of that's agreed between Jadon Sancho and Manchester United. And I think Man United will pay that £80 million for Jadon Sancho. I think Man United will pay £80 million for Jadon Sancho because Jadon Sancho is in Man United's hands. There's obviously competition for Jadon Sancho now, according to Rich Romano. But the Jadon Sancho transfer is in Man United's hands because Jadon Sancho has basically agreed to come to Man United. He wants Man United, and he's £30 million cheaper than last summer. So Man United can get the player they wanted last summer that they were willing to pay 100 million for now 80 million this summer because he's 40 million pounds cheaper. So I think Man United will get Jadon Sancho, but because I think Man United will get Jadon Sancho and everything's indicating that Man United are going to get Jadon Sancho. I mean, Fabrizio Romano has said that Jadon Sancho is Man United's first choice transfer target. Because I think Man United will get Jadon Sancho, I think we're not going to buy Declan Rice if he's £90 million. Even if we can use Lingard to get him for £50 million, Fabrizio Romano literally said yesterday Man United want Jadon Sancho. Depending on how much Sancho costs them, they will get a centre-back. That centre-back, Rafael Varane's priority, maybe Jules Kounde, maybe Pau Torres. And then depending on the Pogba Van de Beek situation, Man United might get a midfielder. But, Fabrizio Romano is the most reliable guy out there in football journalism. Has said, midfield isn't a priority unless maybe Van de Beek or Pogba leaves. So the sad thing is that if Man United sign Declan Rice, I'll give £100 away on this channel. So make sure you like and subscribe for that. If we sign Declan Rice, I'll give money away because I don't think Man United are going to sign Declan Rice. I'd be absolutely shocked. Would I love us to sign Declan Rice? Yes, but Declan Rice, 90 million, I think is a bit of a joke. I think Declan Rice is a good player. He's definitely improving on Fernandes, but it's not worth 90 million. Leicester have just signed Soumer for 21 million. Soumer's just won League One, and Leicester have just signed Soumer for 21 million. Maybe we can get Ndidi because Leicester's signed a CDM, but I think if Man United looked abroad, Locatelli would be under 40 million. Kessie could be under 40 million. Sakara would be under 40 million. I think if Man United want a CDM, I think we're going to have to look abroad. Because if we're going to spend £80 million on Jadon Sancho, if we're possibly going to spend 50, 60 million on Rafael Varane or Jules Kounde, we're not going to spend any more than £40 million on a CDM unless Pogba or Van de Beek leaves. And we still don't know the Pogba situation. So I think if Man United are looking to get CDM, and I hope Man United sign a CDM, I really want Manchester United to sign a CDM, but I think they'd have to go abroad for Locatelli, Kessie, Zakaria. Shame we missed out on Soumer because he'd definitely be improvement on Fred and McTominay, but Declan Rice to United won't happen. And obviously, we've got a lot of new people joining the stream, so if you've just joined the stream, please hit that like button and subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football for daily Manchester United content. There's going to be a live watch along to Man U Wolves tomorrow. Monday's going to be a transfer live stream. Tuesday, the Europa League final preview. Wednesday, a watch along for the Europa League final. So if you're new to Alice Talks Football, daily Man United content on here, so hit that like button, subscribe down below. We're just talking about the transfer news and a bit of preview. Now, Rashford spoke about moving to Real Madrid or Barcelona. Rashford said, basically Rashford came out and said talking about his future and stuff, and he didn't rule out a move abroad. He said never say no to moving abroad. He's a big fan of Real Madrid and Barcelona, and obviously, does that mean Rashford's going to leave? Now, I'd be very, very surprised if Rashford left this summer. I think he's just saying, look, never say never. He loves United, because Rashford loves United. I think Rashford's just like, never say never, but I'm a big fan of Real Madrid and Barcelona. And I think maybe 3-4 years' time, Rashford could go, wants to follow in the footsteps of Ronaldo, go to Real Madrid. But if Rashford ever leaves United, it won't be a Harry Kane situation. If Rashford ever left Man United, it would be abroad. Like, Harry Kane wants to leave Spurs and go to City or United, whereas I think if Rashford ever left Man United, he would not go abroad. I think Rashford's just like Barcelona, Real Madrid, the whole Ronaldo big league thing. And to be fair, the league is dead, so I don't think Rashford would want to leave this summer. I'm talking maybe 2-3 years' time. Rashford wants a new challenge. He could leave. He's been at United a while. And the story is Sancho in, Rashford out. Now, I think Sancho will join Man United this summer. Maybe in a few summers' time, Rashford will leave. But I'd be very, very shocked if Rashford left. The one thing, though, is Rashford talks about leaving to go to Real Madrid. No one really cares. If that was Paul Pogba, I swear the media would be fuming. There's definitely a massive Paul Pogba agenda, but I think the problem with Paul Pogba is he's done it too many times, and Rashford was very, very respectful. He said, look, he'd never say no to a move to Real Madrid or Barcelona because they're massive clubs, and he said he's a fan of them. But I wouldn't say the whole Rashford leaving situation is anything to worry about. Maybe make sure to put your thoughts in the live chat, hit that like button, subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new, because I do daily Manchester United content. We got like 80 people watching, so if you could all hit that like button, it'd be awesome if we could hit 100 likes. But yeah, only 50 likes needed for 100 likes. But I'm just talking about all the latest news. We'll talk about what Fabrizio Romano said yesterday on United Stand, some of the main points. Sancho, Rashford leaving. We'll talk about a bit about Cavani, Kane, Declan Rice's price is now 90 million. We've been talking about the whole situation. We'll also talk about the game tomorrow. Man United versus Wolves is a big, big game. Well, it's not a big game tomorrow. Why was I going to say big, big game? The game means fuck all. The Villarreal game Wednesday is a big, big game. But the Man United Wolves game it means F4. But Shola, Shotire and Hannibal Mejbri look to feature versus Wolves tomorrow, which I think will be really, really promising. And I don't know what your score predictions are for Man United Wolves, but make sure to put that in the comment section down below. But obviously, Nick Morris just said, according to Fabrizio Romano, United are not signing a midfielder until they know what's happening with Donny and Pogba, so we could end up with Fred and McTominay next season. And this is obviously what I was talking about a little bit earlier. That is the worrying thing. Now, I think Fred and McTominay are decent squad players, but I think Man United have carried Fred and McTominay this season. I don't think Fred and McTominay are good to start for Manchester United week in, week out. And like, at the end of the day, I want us to sign the CDM because, one, I like the 4-3-3, not the 4-2-3-1. No top teams play with 2 CDMs. And the only reason Man United play with 2 CDMs is because Fred and McTominay aren't good enough to be a CDM on their own. And if we want to be a top team, if we want to be a team that wins the league, challenges for titles, we need 1 CDM and 2 8s. I'd love Declan Rice, Paul Pogba, Bruno Fernandes to be our midfield 3. Realistically, I know that's not going to happen. I know realistically it will be Sancho and a centre-back this summer, possibly a CDM. But obviously, that would be my dream. And the thing is, Romano said that unless Pogba or Van der Beek leaves, it doesn't look like Man United are going to get a midfielder, which I think is stupid. And as I was saying earlier on the stream, even if we can't afford Declan Rice, we're going to be selling Jesse Lingard. We could even get money for Martial, Daniel James, Mata. We're going to sell one of the goalkeepers. I think United definitely have the money to get someone like Kessie or Locatelli. Locatelli, Basuma, Kessie, Sakaria all can play CDM and all improvement with McTominay and Fred. So even if centre-back and right wing is our priority, and even if we spend our money on Jadon Sancho and Rafael Varane and we don't have that much budget left, we'll sell Martial, we sell one of the keepers, you sell Daniel James, you've got a few players going out, you get money for Lingard. Why don't you go abroad and get CDM? Because I just don't want to go into next season with McTominay and Fred in the pivot, because I think we've carried McTominay and Fred, because every game we watch, bar 1 or 2, our midfield gets dominated because they're not good enough. Do you know why they're not good enough? Because basically, neither McTominay and Fred are a CDM. McTominay and Fred are not CDMs. And Matic is going to be leaving. So we don't actually have an out-and-out CDM at Man United. So we have to play 2 players in the pivot. And those 2 players in the pivot, and McTominay and Fred, do the same job that one good CDM would do. Declan Rice could do the job that both McTominay and Fred do. And the reason the Man United midfield gets overrun is because we have 2 players doing the job that one good player could do. So it's like having 10 men, and we always get overrun in midfield, and we've carried that midfield to second place. And the sad thing is we could be carrying this midfield again next season, because we are carrying McTominay and Fred because they're not CDMs. It's like having 1 less player. It's like playing with 10 men with McTominay and Fred. Most games the midfield gets overrun. And the sad thing is, if we're going to spend 80 million on Jadon Sancho and it looks like Rafael Varane or Jules Kounde will be the second player to join the summer, we're realistically not going to get a CDM. As Fabrizio Romano said, unless Van der Beek or Pogba leaves, Man United aren't going to get a midfielder. So yes, we can sign Sancho. Yes, we can sign Kounde in the summer. Let's say we sign Sancho and Jules Kounde. That's a brilliant, brilliant summer. But the worrying thing again is you play with McTominay and Fred, you know, it's just like, can we do that? You know, if you think about Man United's potential squad for next season, I'm actually going to get something up on my screen here for you guys to look at in a second. But if we think about what Man United's potential squad for next season is, you're thinking, okay, brilliant attack. Defence could be pretty solid because you think we get Kounde or Varane in, but it's the midfield. And I always say that games are won and lost in midfield. I've said this a lot on the channel. Games are won and lost in midfield, and there's a lot of games where we lose the midfield. And if you lose the midfield, we're in trouble. Like, we're in big trouble. And I just think no matter who we sign in the summer, we have to sign a CDM, because I just don't think we can go another season carrying Fred and McTominay. I think we've been lucky. Look, Matic is realistically going to leave. We got rid of Herrera and Fellaini 2 summers ago. We didn't even replace them. And they were defensive midfield players. We're very, very low on CDMs. You've got James Garner, who, to be fair, could probably do a better job than Fred and McTominay. But, you know, he's realistically going to have the Axel Tuanzebe curse, the Donny van de Beek curse, where he stays and he doesn't play. Or, he's going to go out on loan. And I just look at the situation that Man United don't want a CDM. We don't looking at a midfielder unless we get rid of one of Van de Beek and Pogba. And it's very, very Glazers. Is that the word for it? Because I just think the Glazers are really sorry, and they so-called really care about the club. If the Glazers really, really cared about Manchester United, then stop saying sorry and actually do some actions, because you can afford to sign Jadon Sancho, Declan Rice and Jules Kounde if you really, really wanted to. Because if we went about our business effectively, we go Daniel James out, Mata out, Matic out, we'd probably get rid of maybe a Fred or a McTominay just to get a bit more cash in. Lingard would go. You'd do players out on loan. Maybe Delo goes, Pereira goes. And then a goalie's realistically going to have to go. You can raise enough money to make those signings happen. But my fear is with Man United that we're going to get 2 signings and they're not going to be a CDM. Like, I know, like, basically all the reliable journalists have said Sancho's the priority, then a centre-back. No tier 1 reliable journalist has said that Man United are going to get a CDM this summer. But very, very reliable journalists have said Man United want a CDM this summer and all of that, and they said they're interested in Declan Rice. But remember last summer, we're monitoring FC. Every day there was a new article about a new player Man United was monitoring. And I think that's just going to be the CDM situation in the summer, where Man United are going to be monitoring FC in the summer. I reckon when the transfer window opens, every day in the summer, it will be Man United are monitoring this player. Man United are monitoring this player. But I tell you what, I don't think Man United are going to sign a CDM in the summer. I think it's going to be monitoring FC summer. Say we sign Sancho before the Euros. We spend the final weeks of the summer trying to get this centre-back deal done for Varane or Kounde. We sign Sancho early. We don't sign anyone to the last week. It's a Varane or a Kounde. But the whole transfer window, I reckon it's going to be Man United monitoring Rice, Man United monitoring Cassie. And the sad thing is, I think with the CDM, unless one of our big players goes and we raise a lot of money because of the Glazers, because of the low expectations in the transfer window, I think it's just going to be one of them situations where Man United are monitoring this player and we don't sign them. And I don't know what you guys think regarding CDMs in the comment. Let me know your thoughts in the live chat. Because for me, I think CDM is probably the most important position that Man United could almost sign this summer, because I think CDM is just so important. I just can't sit through another season of McTominay and Fred. I just think the CDM position is so, so important for Manchester United. And if you agree with me, hit that like button. If you want Man United to sign a CDM, hit that like button. We'll see if we can get 100 likes. And of course, subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new for daily Manchester United content live streams. Throughout the transfer window, there's going to be daily videos updating you on all the latest Manchester United news throughout the transfer window. So subscribe if that sounds like your thing. But Andres says, I hope we don't sign Sancho. What about Todd Cantwell or David Brooks, just because they don't play in big teams? No one looks at them as young and promising talents. I get what you mean, but the thing about Man United is, if we sign a player that is not good, they aren't going to walk into the team. Donny van de Beek, good player, sits on the bench. I think with Man United, you have to sign a player that is going to walk straight into the team, because otherwise they're going to be on the bench and wasted. And I don't really think that Todd Cantwell or David Brooks is the levels of Man United either. Look, if we don't get Sancho, the right wing I'd go for would probably be Rafinha. If we don't sign Sancho, I'd probably go for Rafinha. But I think Sancho's the only right winger that stands out to me. And at the end of the day, everything's agreed between Man United and Sancho. Everything is agreed between Manchester United and Jadon Sancho. Man United are in pole position to sign Jadon Sancho. Everything's agreed. Sancho wants United. He's £30 million cheaper than last year. All Man United have to do is knock on Dortmund's door, go, here's 80 million, and Jadon Sancho's ours. The question is, will Man United do it? Will Man United sign Jadon Sancho this summer? And I think they will. And the reason I think Man United will sign Jadon Sancho this summer is because, one, we wanted him last summer so badly and we didn't get him. So two, I think it's going to be like the Bruno Fernandes thing where we get him for cheaper, we get him. Like, basically, we really wanted Bruno, then we waited a winner to get him. I think it's going to be the exact same with Sancho. It's all about saving money. It's Glazeronomics, if that's the word. But I also think the Glazers want to sign Jadon Sancho because the Glazers have never come out and apologised before. The Glazers have come out and apologised 2-3 times in the space of a month. The Glazers are now going on the fan forum. The Glazers have been effective. The stocks have gone down. That companies are pulling out. The sponsorships are putting pressure on the Glazers. Like, so many sponsorships have put pressure on the Glazers. The reason the Glazers are saying sorry is because the Glazers' pockets are hurt. And I think the Glazers will sign Jadon Sancho to try and win back the fans because the Glazers have realised now they've upset the fans is actually hurting the amount of money in their pocket. United have lost money. The stocks have gone down. And I think the Glazers will probably sign Sancho for the whole reason of you sign Sancho, shirt sales go up, stocks go up, you win the fans back, the fans are happy. And I think the main reason I believe Man United will sign Jadon Sancho this summer is not just because he's our number one target and Ollie wants him, but I think the Glazers will actually want to pay the money to get Sancho because at the end of the day, they will kind of get their money back. It's Glazeronomics. You get Jadon Sancho back, you win a few fans back. Because you sign Jadon Sancho, the attention, the PR, the stocks, the shirt sales go up. You know, Adidas are saying that Man United shirt sales have fallen in the last 2 years. The reason Man United shirt sales have fallen in the last 2 years is because we've not actually signed one big marquee player in the last 2 years. That's why our shirt sales are falling. That's why the Glazers are under pressure from Adidas for shirt sales falling. What can the Glazers do to get those shirt sales back up? Jadon Sancho. Who's desperate to come to Manchester United? Jadon Sancho. Who's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer desperate to sign? Jadon Sancho. And that's why I think Man United will sign Jadon Sancho. And you get a tier 1 reliable journalist like Fabrizio Romano coming out and saying that Man United's number one priority is Jadon Sancho. So I just think United will sign Jadon Sancho. And if we didn't sign Jadon Sancho, I wouldn't be looking at Todd Cantwell or any of that. I think Rafinha would be your best option because I do think we need a right wing. However, I will say, for personally myself, centre back and CDM I think would be much more better a much better signing than Jadon Sancho. But it really depends on what your preferences are. Like, I don't know who you guys think. Like, put in the live chat, who would you sign if you were in charge of Man United? Like, who would you sign this summer? And all of that. But we just got a super chat in, so thank you very much for the super chat. What are your alternative options for the positions that we need, i.e. right wing, CDM, centre back, and possibly striker? Right wing, probably Sancho first, then Rafinha. Maybe you look at someone like Neto. Obviously, there's Josiah abroad, but I'd probably say those are my right wing alternatives. CDM, I'd say you got. If I'm thinking cheaper, Locatelli, Kessie, obviously Suma's gone to Leicester, Zakaria, Basuma. I think they would all be improvements, and Ndidi will probably be expensive. And then centre back, there's Romero at Atlanta. I think it's a good player. There's obviously Botman, obviously Jules Kounde, Pau Torres. A lot of the players that we've been linked to. There's obviously Fofana, but I think he would be very, very overpriced. And then striker, I'd probably wait a year to sign a striker, but I mean, even Donny Marland for PSV, I think I rate him. And there's obviously that one at Lille. What's his name? But yeah, there's a few good strikers out there. But thank you very much for the super chat and all of that. Now, this guy said that Hannibal Mejbri wins the Man United Under-23s Player of the Year, which brings me to my next point, that Hannibal Mejbri and Shola Shotire might feature versus Wolves tomorrow, which will be really nice to see. And I will get into my predicted lineup for Manchester United versus Wolves in a second. Obviously, this is the Manchester Evening News' predicted lineup on the screen, which I think would be interesting to see. No McFred. Will McFred feature in the Europa League final? Is the big question. Nick Morris says that Man United need a quality CDM with engine where you can play Bruno Pogba in front of a 4-3-3, and I completely agree with this comment. The reason I want a CDM so badly is because I don't like the 4-2-3-1 as a formation. No top teams play with 2 CDMs and a pivot. Every top team has one top CDM. Chelsea, Kante in the Champions League final. Man City, Rodri or Fernandinho in a Champions League final. Madrid at their best, Casemiro. Liverpool at their best, Fabinho. The second Fabinho has gone back in the Liverpool midfield. Liverpool are winning games. The second Fabinho goes back in that Liverpool midfield. Liverpool looking good. They're on for top 4. Like, one top CDM changes a team, and all the top teams play with one CDM. And I tell you this now, if Man United sign one top CDM, Pogba, Bruno, that midfield is going to win you games. Like, honestly, I think, imagine we sign Ndidi. Look, realistically, United aren't going to sign Ndidi. But you know what? They've got Tielemans, they've got Suman, maybe they're selling Ndidi. United sign Ndidi, stays fit, Pogba, Bruno in midfield. That team can challenge. Ndidi, Kounde, and Sancho, I think, could win United the league. Will we sign them? Look, if Man United signed Ndidi, Sancho, and Kounde, I would literally give away another £100. I said if we signed Declan Rice, I'd give away £100. If in one window we signed Sancho, Kounde, and Ndidi, I'd give away £100. So, you know, subscribe if that happens, because, you know, you'd want for your money. But I 100% agree with Nick's comment. It's just if you get a CDM, one, it's an improvement because Fred and McTominay are the weak spot in the team. But two, you can play a whole different formation, a whole different style of football, and you can just become a better team. Basuma, Arsenal's priority, yeah. But if Man United have been for Basuma, he'd definitely choose United over Arsenal. I think Basuma, you know, Arsenal signed Partey and they're looking at Basuma. You know, Partey must be sitting there like, I left Atletico Madrid, who've just won the league, to go to Arsenal and be ninth and probably not in Europe next season. I'd like Basuma. Because if Declan Rice is 90 million, if Declan Rice is going to cost us £90 million like it's reported, then I would definitely go for Basuma. Because I think unless you can maybe use Jesse Lingard to get a lot more money off Declan Rice, I think Declan Rice won't happen. I think Declan Rice will be too expensive. If Man United sign Declan Rice, I'll give £100 away on this channel. You've heard it here. Just go down below, but I don't think we will. Kante can do better than McTominay and Fred. Yeah, I think Kante. I think if you played Kante on his own with Bruno, like not even a third midfielder, he'd still do better than McTominay, Fred, Bruno. I think Kante and Bruno would do more than McTominay and Fred, Bruno with one less player. Because I tell you now, what Kante does for Chelsea is what McTominay and Fred do for Man United, but better. And there's only one Kante, and he does a better job than McTominay and Fred do together. Like that, it's just the levels. It's just the levels. Top CDM. It's just all about the levels. Pogba leaving. So obviously Bruno looks like he's staying. Bruno looks like he's signing a new contract at Manchester United. There's obviously indications that Pogba could stay. There's no indication about Pogba leaving this summer, but there's no indication about Pogba signing a new deal. So if you want my honest opinion, I think we have to sort of wait and see what happens with the Pogba situation, because he could very much leave Man United for a free next summer, which is something I think we do worry about nearer the time. But I think Pogba leaving is something we will have to talk about at some point on this channel, whether we want to or not. Obviously, we'll talk about Rashford leaving and Rashford's comments about leaving earlier on the channel. But I think, you know, we could talk about Rashford leaving in today's video and Rashford's comments he made about leaving. But at the end of the day, I think Paul Pogba is more likely to leave than Marcus Rashford in the next 2 years. Even though Rashford's come out with recent comments about leaving, I think Paul Pogba's definitely more likely to leave and all of that. Starlaw says, I think we can make do with the attacking players we got and not sign Sancho. I agree with this. I love Sancho. I'd love Man United to sign Jadon Sancho, but if Man United sign Jadon Sancho, we're not going to get a top CDM unless Pogba or Rice leaves. Unless Pogba or Donny leaves, we're not going to sign top CDM. So to be fair, if it was Sancho and a centre back or a top CDM and a centre back, I'd probably go top CDM and centre back. And like, you guys know how much I love Sancho, but I just think I cannot sit through another season with McTominay and Fred. I don't think I could. Neves wants out after Nuno leaving. Yeah, I did hear this rumour that Ruben Neves wants out of Wolves because Nuno's left. Obviously, Nuno's leaving Wolves. And I think, you know, Neves is a player that we've been into a lot. And about a year ago, I actually thought we should sign Ruben Neves. However, I watch a lot of Wolves. My stepdad supports Wolves. I watch a lot of Wolves on the TV and stuff. But I haven't been that impressed with Neves this season, to be fair. And he's not. He's a pivot CDM as well. Like I personally don't think Neves. I think he's a good player. I think he's definitely improving on McTominay and Fred, but so are half the midfielders in the Premier League. But I don't think he's a massive improvement. Yeah. Only 41 likes need for 100 likes. If everyone can hit that like button, let's see if we can hit 100 likes by the end of the stream. We've got over 100 people watching, so surely we can hit 100 likes. So if everybody can hit that like button, we've got an Ipswich fan in the chat. I'm going to scroll down and read out some more live chats. I can't read out them all, but just keep getting some live chats in. I'm going to see which ones I can read out. This guy says he's from Kenya in East Africa. I know where Kenya is. He wants to sign Kane or Sancho. Cool. And he's put his contact info in there, which I didn't realise until I read out the chat. So sorry for exposing your contact info to 100 people. But yeah. Who do you think will win the Champions? I think Man City will win, but I'm backing Chelsea in the Champions League. Completely backing Chelsea. Ollie is a defensive manager, need a forward-thinking manager. I don't think Ollie's a defensive manager. I just think Ollie's a scared manager. Because you know when we went on that amazing run about a year ago after lockdown, and we won all those games to finish third, and we played Matic, Pogba, Bruno in the midfield, and we played attacking football. I reckon if the Glazers went out and brought Declan Rice, Sancho, and Varane, we'd be playing really nice free-flowing attacking football. I think the reason Ollie doesn't play attacking football is because he's scared. He knows that Lindelof and Maguire aren't the best pairing in the world, and he also knows that McTominay and Fred over on the midfield. I think that's why we play so defensive. But I think if Ollie had the facilities that Pep had, the squad that Pep had, or Klopp's squad without injuries, I think Ollie would play much better attacking football. And I think at the end of the day, look, I'm Ollie in, but I think it's all about backing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I think Ole needs to be back this summer. Maybe if Ole loses the Europa League final, am I Ole out? Depends on the manner we lose it. We will be talking about Ole in, Ole out in the Europa League final. What happens to Ole if we lose the Europa League final? We will be talking about that on the channel. Probably in Tuesday's video will be Ole in, Ole out. What happens if Ole loses the final? So stay tuned for that, because Tuesday will be a match preview to Man United versus Villarreal, which, like, this is the small match preview, Man United versus Wolves. But Man United versus Villarreal is going to be the big match preview Tuesday. So stay subscribed so you know when Man United Villarreal is. And obviously I've got my Man United versus Wolves watch along tomorrow, which is going to be a massive watch along. Well, it's not massive. It's not a massive watch along, but you know what? I like to hype up my videos. TNT says no one can suit Pogba. That's true. He's just not a midfielder, and we need at least 2 defensive midfielders behind him. I think if we had a top CDM like Ndidi or Declan Rice, Ndidi, Pogba, Bruno would be the perfect midfield three. Imagine Ndidi, Pogba, Bruno as the perfect midfield three. I think that would be absolutely fantastic. Someone says Pogba out, Neves in the midfield is sold. That's all. Don't personally agree with that comment. Neves is a downgrade on Paul Pogba, if we're being honest. This guy says you shouldn't even focus on strikers. Look at Man City did this season. Without a striker, you make a point. You should be focusing on a cam. Are you sure you might mean centre-back or CDM? Man United need to get a centre-back and a CDM this summer more than a striker, because he makes a good comment. Man City done it without a striker this season. You've got Cavani for another year. You've got Martial. You've got Greenwood. We've got Cavani, Martial, Greenwood, and even Rashford that can play striker. United definitely don't need a striker. United need a CDM and a centre-back. Right wing would be a good position for Man United to sign. Look, if Man United sign a right winger, fair. We do need a right winger. But the 2 most important positions for Man United are CDM and centre-back, because our attack, we scored the 2nd most goals in the league this season. But we've had our worst home defensive record in the Premier League history. I mean, we've conceded how many goals in the Premier League? I'm actually going to Google how many goals we conceded, because I'm pretty sure we've conceded like the 10th most in the Premier League. Goals against, we conceded 43 goals in the Premier League. Chelsea, Leicester, even Liverpool without their main defenders have conceded less goals than us season. We've conceded more goals than Liverpool this season, and Liverpool haven't had Van Dijk, Gomez or Matic for most of the season, and we've conceded more goals than Liverpool this season. Exactly why we need a CDM, and exactly why we need a centre-back. I can't believe we've conceded more goals than Liverpool this season. That's why I feel like, look, we probably will get Sancho this summer. I'm very confident Man United will sign Sancho, just because he's cheaper than last summer, and it's definitely a Glazers PR spin. Sorry, signing to sign Sancho. And if we sign Sancho, the Glazers get more money because shirt sales go up, sponsors go up. So look, the reason I'm confident we'll sign Sancho this summer is because I think the Glazers will actually want to sign Sancho this summer, because they need that signing. But I just think we sign Sancho, we ain't signing that top CDM or that top centre-back. And I just think 2nd most goals in the league. But, you know, we've conceded more goals than Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea. Spurs have conceded the same amount of goals as us. And we always mock how shit Spurs' defence is. But, you know, our defence is conceding the same amount of goals as fucking Dyer at the back. You know, Arsenal have conceded less goals than us this season, and Arsenal are crap. We conceded the same amount of goals as Villa this season. Like, our defensive record is poor. Like Brighton, we conceded one less goal than Brighton this season. We've conceded 1 less goal than Brighton this season. Man United definitely need a centre-back. Like, the top one's going to be Maguire. Especially now without Maguire, our defence looks even worse. Like I said, we need, if we're being in an ideal world, we need a set-piece coach, a defensive coach, a top quick centre-back, a top CDM, and a right winger. And then next summer we go for the striker back at right back, and then we're booming. But with the Glazers, it's not going to happen. You've got Van der Beek sitting on the bench, so no excuse for Ole, says J United. So that's the one thing. Like, I'm Ole, but what I don't like about Ole is Van der Beek, Tuanzebe, and even Amad Diallo at times just sit on the bench when we're losing. And I just think, how shit do McTominay, Fred, and Lindelof need to be to get dropped? McTominay and Fred will put in stinker after stinker after stinker, and he won't even bring Van der Beek on for more than 5 minutes. 9 out of 10 times when Van der Beek's been subbed on, it's been for less than 10 minutes. Like, that's the one thing that frustrates me about Ole is I think Tuanzebe's good enough to start more. I think Donny Van der Beek should be getting more minutes. And it frustrates me when sometimes Daniel James and Mata come on and you've got Ahmed on the bench. I'm like, Ahmed, we know what Daniel James is about. We know what Mata's about. Let's get Ahmed off the bench. Like, I'd love to see that. Steve says Villarreal lost to Real Madrid and they were 5 minutes away from victory. Yes. Atletico Madrid have won La Liga. Atletico Madrid have won La Liga, which is massive. I'm really happy that Atletico Madrid won the league. And not that I'm Atletico Madrid's biggest fan, but it's always nice for, I think, someone different to win the league and stuff. And You know, we are linked to that player from Atletico Madrid, Llorente. Now, I don't know that much about Llorente, but I think there's better options out there. But it's really nice to see Atletico Madrid win the league. Ollie's strongest attribute is his management, and his worst attribute is subs in game. To be fair, I agree with that comment. I think Ollie's weakness is how he controls subs in games. I just think Van der Beek and Tuanzebe are players that when they've played, they've mostly been good. And Tuanzebe's proved that he can be better than Lindelof. Not proved, but like, Tuanzebe will play with Lindelof and Tuanzebe's better. McTominay and Fred will put in stinker after stinker after stinker. So, yeah, I think, you know, Ollie should make subs early. I think Ollie's biggest problem is he's scared to lose. So it's more like he plays not to lose than plays to win. I think that's Ollie's downfall. And I think backing from the Glazers is definitely needed. Ollie hasn't really been backed. I think he will get Sancho this summer, but I don't think because we get Sancho in the summer means Ollie's been backed. Because I still think, can you win a league with McTominay and Fred in the pivot? Now, I'm going to leave you guys to let me know in the live chat. No matter who we sign, even if we sign Kane, Sancho, Grealish, Varane or Kounde, do you think we could still win a league with McTominay and Fred in the pivot? Because to be honest, I don't think we do. Now, Harry Maguire out for the last game. He'll be back in August. Well, Harry Maguire could miss the Euros, which would be a massive miss for England because Harry Maguire's level with John Stones, and I don't care what people think about that. But we need a centre back and CDM, but we definitely need a CDM and centre back. Yeah, definitely. And I'm going to read out a few more live chats, but if everybody could hit that like button, it would mean a lot. Please hit that like button, subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football and share this video because tomorrow will be a watch along for Manchester United versus Wolves. Man United versus Wolves watch along tomorrow on Alice Talks Football. So that's going to be a big, well, not big game. I keep saying big game. Then we've got obviously Tuesday night, the preview for Man United versus Villarreal. We're going to have a massive match preview for Man United versus Villarreal. Ollie in, Ollie out debate, talking about transfers and stuff. So there's going to be a great live stream tomorrow, but it's going to be a brilliant live stream Tuesday and Wednesday night for Man United versus Villarreal. So you've got to make sure you stay tuned for all of that. Now, this guy says maybe Ollie wanting Sancho more than a CDM because his mind he would play Rashford on the left and move Pogba into the double pivot in midfield. You make a good point, but even I think you could play Pogba in the midfield a lot more, but he prefers to play with Tommorrows and Fred. Now, the one thing that makes me think, though, is, so Fabrizio Romano said, and all the reliable journalists have said, Man United wants Sancho and a centre-back. Maybe the reason we play Tommorrows and Fred in the midfield, and I've said this before, is to protect the centre-backs. Maybe if we sign a right winger, we move Rashford to the left, and because we sign the centre-back, Ollie will play Pogba in a pivot more. Maybe one of the reasons Pogba doesn't play in the pivot is because of the centre-backs. And maybe the reason we're going for right wing and centre-back before CDM is because Ollie plans next season to not play Pogba on left, to in fact play Pogba in the pivot, because now we've got a top centre-back next to Maguire. Pogba's better in the pivot. Now, I don't know what you think about that. But I was just looking at this comment, and I just think, if we sign Sancho and we sign a centre-back, you put Rashford on the left, you put Sancho on the right, you've got Cavani, Martial, Greenwood that can play on top. Maybe if we sign a right wing and we sign a centre-back and we don't sign a CDM, maybe because we sign a centre-back, Pogba will go back into the pivot, and maybe that's why we're not signing a CDM, because I think the reason we play McTominay and Fred so much is because Lindelof and Maguire, when players run at them, when there's a ball over the top, we're fucked, When we don't protect Lindelof and Maguire, we're fucked. But if Man United sign a top centre-back, we don't have to play McTominay and Fred in the pivot. In fact, we can play Fred and Pogba in the pivot, or Matic and Pogba in the pivot, or McTominay and Pogba in the pivot. And maybe the whole we want a centre-back before CDM is because Ollie goes, well, if we sign a top centre-back, we can just play Donny or Pogba in the pivot. And maybe because Ollie as a manager is a manager that's scared to lose, maybe once you get a top centre-back there, Ollie's not afraid to play Pogba or Donny in the pivot. Ollie's more likely to play Pogba or Donny in the pivot because he's not too worried about protecting the defence of Lindelof and Maguire. Because I think Lindelof is definitely a weak spot in the squad. And I think if he replaces Lindelof with a top centre-back, maybe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer does think, oh, actually, we can play Pogba in a pivot now off the left. Maybe that's the talking point about the situation. But I definitely think we need a CDM. But I guess in a sense, like, what do we need more, a top centre-back or a CDM? Because I think if you play a top centre-back, we don't have to play McFred, but I don't know what you guys think is more important, a top centre-back or a CDM, but I think they're both very, very important positions. Most goals conceded in defensive midfield area. I don't know if that's a real stat, but if it is, it probably wouldn't surprise me because I look at most of the goals Man United concede. I look at pretty much 90% of the goals that Man United concede, and I just go, we could have stopped that. And like half the time, like when Man United conceded, I swear 90% of the goals Man United conceded from a set piece because of zonal marking, from just a cross and not marking them at the back post, or because Tommorrows and Fred get skipped by and don't close down their man. And I just think CDM, defensive coach, top centre-back, set-piece coach, that's our defence sorted. Our attack can do bits. Generally think top CDM, top centre-back, we could actually, like, challenge Man City. I do, and, like, you know, I think I'm a bit ambitious when I say that. But I think, yeah, I just think we need to sort our defence out. I think because you just look at the goals you can see this season, and I just think a proper defence coach, a proper set-piece coach, stop this solo marking, you don't defend that. Because all our goals that we can see that I always feel like are so preventable. You're not marking the man at the back post. Tommorrows and Fred got overrun. You deal with the Tommorrows and Fred issue by buying Rice. You get a defensive coach, you get a top centre back in, and that deals with a lot of the goals you can see, if you want my honest opinion. TNT says Rice is just overrated and overpriced. Rice is an improvement on what we have. Rice is a good player, but definitely overpriced. Wouldn't say he was overrated, though. I have watched him play, and he does look very good this season. Harry Maguire will miss the Europa League final, which is going to be a massive loss, and we will be doing a match preview to Man United versus Villarreal Tuesday night on Alice Talks Football. So that's going to be a massive match preview. Talk about will Ollie be sacked if we lose the final, Maguire being out and all of that. So we will talk about the Villarreal game definitely on Tuesday night. So make sure you stay subscribed for that. Defensive players still conceding goals, dead tactics. I think we do need a better CDM and centre-back, but I definitely think we need a defensive coach or a set-piece coach, because I don't know why we're still doing zonal marking if we're clearly crap at defending set-pieces, if it's clearly not working. Steve says Man United need 6 new players. I think we need 3 marquee players in right-wing CDM centre-back. I think ideally maybe a striker, maybe a backup right-back. I think maybe 5 players, but yeah, for sure. But yeah, let me just have a look at some more live chats. Let me know your thoughts in the live chat. Hit that like button down below, subscribe. But we were going to talk about my predicted lineup for Man United versus Wolves as well, because obviously it's going to be a different lineup. Hannibal, Mejbri debut and all of that. Now, BR Comps just said, as a Juventus fan, but you guys should go for De Ligt, not being biased, but I think De Ligt's the best centre-back in the world. De Ligt's a player that I would like, to be fair. He's a great young player. But yeah. Will Lindelof start tomorrow? That's the question now. There's a rumour that's going to be Bailly and Axel at the back tomorrow, which I think I'd like to see versus Wolves. Not the Wolves. Actually, no, they have Traore. But Wolves have got so many injuries in attack, to be fair, that maybe Lindelof would suit the game. But yeah, I think it's going to be Bailly and Axel starting at the back tomorrow versus Wolves. Atletico win the Liga. Hit that like button for Atletico winning the Liga and banter in Arsenal, because Thomas Partey leaves to finish 9th, whereas Old Club wins the Liga. I think that's always banter and stuff. Rashford not leaving. Quote, I dream playing for Real Madrid or Barcelona. Yeah, I don't think Rashford would leave. I think Rashford's a player that could maybe leave in a few years to do that. Ronaldo goes to Real Madrid. But I think if we're going to worry about players leaving, I don't think Rashford is. The whole Rashford leaving is just him just saying that he's a big fan of Barcelona and Real Madrid. He'd never say no to it. But, like, yeah, I don't think Rashford would leave for a few years, to be fair. I'm not too worried about the Rashford leaving rumours. I think, you know, Paul Pogba's got a year left on his contract. I think you're most worried about him leaving. And the rumour coming in is that actually that Bruno Fernandes is signing a new contract at Manchester United to earn £200,000 a week. To be fair, because I'm pretty sure Bruno Fernandes earns less a year than Phil Jones, which you know makes 0 sense. But you know what Man United like with their business. But it looks like Bruno Fernandes is in. But also, you know, Man United apparently wants Sancho before the Euros. So it'll be really interesting to see if we get Sancho in the next 2-3 weeks, if we actually do anything before the Euros. But I don't think we will, because realistically, in a week's time, they go on Euro training. So do you think Man United is going to sign Jadon Sancho in a week's time? Because I'd be shocked. I don't think we are. But you never know. You know, we're not going to sign Sancho in a week's time. But I think we'll sign Sancho after the Euros. But there's the rumour that we obviously want Jadon Sancho before the Euros. But guys, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe down below. I'm going to read out a few more live chats before I end the stream. This guy says, we need Rashford for left wing. Who would take over that position if he leaves? Fatty, then fine. Yeah, you make a good point. I think Grealish, maybe, but I don't think Rashford's going to leave this summer. I think Rashford was just saying, like, oh, Real Madrid, Barcelona, it's a dream. I'd never say no. But Rashford has no plans on leaving. He loves Man United. I wouldn't worry about Rashford leaving. I think we're going to worry about a big player leaving. It would probably be Pogba, but there's not been too much news on Pogba leaving. But Pogba could very much leave on a free next season. This guy's obviously said, this is the predicted lineup for tomorrow's match, by the way, guys, versus Wolves. Henderson, Williams, Tuanzebe, Bailly, Telles, Matic, Van der Beek, Ahmed, Mata, Alanga, Greenwood. Be interesting to see that. But that is the predicted lineup. I think James would go if we sign Sancho. I think we always try to get rid of James this summer and give him to Leeds on loan. So, yeah, let me know your thoughts. But everybody, thank you for tuning in to today's live stream. Please hit that like button, subscribe down below. I'm now going to get into my predicted lineup for Man United versus Wolves. And a lot of it is taking in mind what we're going to do in the Europa League final and all of that. You know, I do think we want to rest a few players, but I think it will be a mix of rotation. But I also think it will be a little bit, I think we'll have players like Bruno's probably starting and stuff. I don't know what the situation is on McTominay and Fred now. If anyone knows what's happening with McTominay and Fred, let me know, because apparently McTominay and Fred are injured, and I'm not 100% sure what the McTominay and Fred injury situation was, but obviously they both came off versus Fulham injured. So if you guys know if one of them is injured, please let me know in the comment section down below, because I'm hearing that they are injured. Now, I don't know if they're going to miss the Europa League final, so I haven't put McTominay or Fred in my predicted lineup for the Man United Wolves game tomorrow, but there's a rumour that they are injured, but I don't know. But I'm going to show you my predicted lineup for the Manchester United game tomorrow, so bear with me just a second, because I'm trying to just share my screen, so if you bear with me a second. But let me know your score predictions for Man United versus Wolves as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my stream with you, and I'm going to show you the lineup that I expect to see tomorrow. But we just got a super chat that I'm going to read out. So thank you very much for the super chat from Zar. That means a lot. But McTominay, Fred, Lindelof, all fit for tomorrow, says Nick. So thanks for that. There was obviously a rumour that McTominay and Fred were injured, but apparently they're all fit for tomorrow. Obviously, Maguire won't be fit for the Europa League final, but we're talking about Man United versus Wolves. We're talking about Man United versus Wolves now in the match tomorrow. And hopefully you can see that on your screen there. Now, you can't see my beautiful face, but you can see this on the screen there. This is my predicted lineup for Manchester United versus Wolves, and I'll talk about why and all of that. So you've got Henderson in goal because De Gea's going to play in the final. I've got Wan-Bissaka because I think, he doesn't want to drop both fullbacks because he saw what happened. And Wan-Bissaka looks so much better with Bayern because he doesn't tuck in. You've got Tellez on the left because I think he'll want Luke Shaw fit and fresh for the final. I've gone with Axel and Bayern because I probably want Lindelof fit and fresh for the final. I've gone with Matic and Donny because obviously Fred and McTominay did actually pick up a knock versus Fulham, so I'll probably want them fit for the final. And this game's got nothing to play for, so you might as well get minutes in Matic and Donny. I've gone with Alanga on the left and Ahmed on the right, just kind of like the Leicester game. I've gone with Bruno as the cam, and I've obviously gone with Mason Greenwood up top. I think, likely that we could see Hannibal Mejbri come on and get some minutes. Shola Shotire come on and get some minutes with Bruno. Maybe we'd want to take Bruno off 60 minutes in to refresh, because obviously Wolves are going to be playing a reduced lineup. They got nothing to play for. They got a lot of injuries, so I don't think we need to go all out versus Wolves, especially when on Wednesday night we've got Villarreal in the final, and Villarreal have a day's rest over us because they just played tonight. We play tomorrow, so I think that's the lineup we expect to see a lot of it, because obviously we've got the final coming up and all of that. But obviously that is my predicted lineup for the game. Someone predicts a 4-1 win to Wolves. Now, I'd be shocked if Wolves win 4-1. Because Wolves have had man injuries and they're having a bad season. But it will be Nuno's last game in charge as Wolves manager, which I think is really, really interesting to see how that goes and all of that. But yeah, thanks everyone for tuning into Alice Talks Football. Please hit that like button. And if you're not subscribed to Alice Talks Football, you should subscribe, because we've got a massive week coming up on the channel. We've got a massive week coming up on the channel. I'm going to be trying to do daily transfer news and updates. The minute the Europa League finals over, the minute the transfer window opens, we'll be doing pretty much daily live streams updating you on all the latest transfer news regarding Manchester United. So you might as well stay subscribed so you don't miss that. Tomorrow's video is the Man United versus Wolves watch along and match reaction. Obviously, Monday's video is going to be a tier list ranking and a transfer news update video. We're going to have a live stream on Monday night. Tuesday night live stream is going to be the preview to Manchester United versus Villarreal. And on Wednesday, it's going to be Man United versus Villarreal, the Europa League final. So Man United versus, so it's going to be a watch along for that. And then Thursday, season review. Friday, another big live stream, talk about transfer news. Obviously, Saturday, you've got the Champions League final. So it's going to be a massive week on Alice Talks Football. So if you're not subscribed, you might as well subscribe. I'm just going to read out this comment. My team for tomorrow's game: Henderson, Williams, Baito and Xavi Tellez, Matic, Donny, Hannibal, Shotire and Alanga. I'd like to see that team that Nick put out. I really hope we do see Hannibal and Shotire. There's rumours about Hannibal getting his debut tomorrow, and I really hope we see that for Man United versus Wolves. I think that would be massive. But yeah, thanks everybody for tuning into the live stream. I'm going to end the live stream now because I've been live for an hour and 10 minutes, but I'm going to be live tomorrow. I'm going to be live Monday, and I'm going to be live Tuesday and Wednesday. I'm going to be live literally the next 3-4 days, so you might as well subscribe for daily live stream content. I'll keep you updated on all the Manchester United transfer news. But yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Hit the like button, subscribe down below. See you next time.